Hey guys, what is going on, RedMaster, and welcome back to episode of Casting Conflicts for you today. We've got a great match lined up, so without much ado, let's go ahead and jump right in to match number one. Alright folks, and welcome back to episode of Casting Conflicts here. We've got Jump back taking on Allensis. Of course, Allen running that bread and butter of Pirate, Viking, Mystic Rats. Jump, on the other hand, bringing back the Ninja Druids. And with me in the casting booth today, we've got Astroy. Astroy, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Good. How do you feel about this matchup going for both players here? Who do you think's got the advantage moving into the game?
This is a really interesting matchup because Jump has to get on the board and he has to stay on the board pretty much the whole game.
Certainly. And against Mystic Rats, that might be a little tough to do. We know that Alan's going to look for that sweet combo of Rat King Mystic Journey, but not before getting some things like Temples and Blacksmiths just to create a lot of scary rats. So we'll see if Jump's deck is equipped to take it out. We're seeing some interesting pieces in hand right now, something like Koru, Beastmaster. Do you think he can use any of those to his advantage here, or what do you think's going to get the best advantage from for him in the match?
Seeing Koru Rampage is probably making Jump very happy. Getting something like that down means he can remove threats from Alan's board pretty much every turn,
Right.
which will be huge, absolutely huge, if he can get it working.
Well, we'll see Jump take a bit of a offensive maneuver here, going to knock out the Hovel with that Centaur, so cutting off Alan's rat generation. Alan going to clean that up, though, with the Dragon Knight, push forward with the Faithful Drake, and I imagine keep chipping away with the Lumberjack here. Jump, meanwhile, I think he's got a pretty good response. The Lumberjack off the top here, going to do a good, did a cleanup work, maybe follows up with a Mana Core. And
Yeah,
yeah, I think we're pretty much seeing a good way to counteract the Mystic Rats here. Just being aggressive, shutting down the tools. Curious to see if maybe Jump's going to follow up and remove Blacksmith in some kind of way later down the line. I think that's going to be big for him if he does decide to do it. Because, of course, like I said, Blacksmith and the buffs here. But, I mean, Astra, how are you feeling? Any similar thoughts on that?
yeah. What would be really scary here is if Alan already has the Mystic Rats coming down. Like, Beastmaster helps, but it's not going to save you in the long run.
Right. We do see a big Lightning Blade from Alan, though, being the card to go for to kill off Mana Core. Bit of an interesting one, too. I mean, sure, you're getting more damage, but I don't know if that was really the big Lightning Blade you want to see in this scenario. But fair is fair. I think Jump might go with Beastmaster as a response here. Seems like the right call to make, right? Wouldn't you agree on that?
Yeah, yeah. Remove the Faithful Drake and get some units on the board.
Actually keeps the bear thanks to that 6 health threshold, which
Yeah,
is going to be very big for him. Like you said, he needs to kind of keep units on the board here moving forward. We'll see if he can make that happen. Allen with 5 cards in hand, though, definitely has some potential. Ooh, and there's one of
that's
Allen's.
pretty scary.
That's one of his big go-to cards. There is Temple, the Five Gods, making its appearance in this episode.
Right, right this second, Jump has Fat Barb Rage. He wants to get that temple off the board.
Looks like he's going to take it here. Beastmaster going to go ahead, charge in, doing a little bit of temple removal in the process here. Bear going to probably move up. I wouldn't move the bear up considering you're going to lose it off the Beastmaster. I would probably do something like we're seeing Jump do now. Go with Masuda instead. You won't lose that if the Beastmaster dies. And yeah, I think Jump's looking pretty good here as we move into the late game here. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it's too bad he had to use Rampage on the Beastmaster because now Koru won't be nearly as useful. And seeing that Alan just had to use Mercenary's Execution on that Beastmaster, I'd definitely say that Jump is sitting in a really good spot.
Especially following up with a big swordsman play, that could do wonders. If he places the swordsman more defensively and pops something like a lunging strike, but looking like that's not going to be the case, you're going to be a bit more aggressive with it, which is completely fine too. I imagine Alan isn't carrying a whole lot of answers for this right at the moment, since, like you said, he just used that execution here. More not going to be the card of choice here, going to take out the swordsman, and actually
Oh,
gets to kill off the fat bard as well, it looks like.
That's nasty.
Certainly. But, I mean, I still think Jump might have an advantage. He still has the Koru, which is, yet to be played. We'll see if he takes that
Indeed.
approach.
Well, we're hitting Yenneroth territory, and if Jump doesn't hit the attack buffs for the first strike, Yenneroth will be a huge problem.
Do you think that's why he's going to go for Beastmaster here, just to avoid that Yenneroth potential?
Yeah, I think that's as good as it's going to get. Because playing Koru, you're just going to end up losing it.
Very true. I mean, revealing the position off of the freeze here and not being able to move Koru to a safe position would certainly mean that he's just going to end up losing it. We'll probably see Jump consider. Yep, looks like he goes for the rare rat here. We're on a little bit of a stream lag here, it appears to be, but that's no big deal. We can do our best here. It looks like Onslaught hits Beastmaster for some draw and some slight removal. I'm not going to kill Beastmaster this turn, so I think Jump has a little more room to be aggressive here. And there
Oh,
is the Rat King. Oh, and
oh.
there's the Mystic Journey. Oh no. I mean, granted, these rats actually have no way of removing the Were-Rat, which is a nice little sign there, nice little compensation for that Mystic Journey. But still, I think that combo in itself is very big going into.
Ooh, ooh, that's good.
Leanna
That's
hits the
good.
board. All right. So, well, actually, hasn't hit the board yet. Hits Jump's hand here. We'll see if he plays it. Considering his other options here, might be the way to go to kind of divert a bit of this rat damage that's about to come in here. Maybe I would assume Archdruid smacks, a couple of these rats. Maybe even eliminates Rat King to avoid another Mystic Journey here. What would you say Jump's biggest targets here are? Would you go for the Rat King or force Allen to keep the upkeep in this scenario?
Um, it's a really tough one because really you can never know. You have to wonder if Alan maybe is bluffing, but it's just really tough. You can't know for sure because if they don't have the Mystic Journey, keeping the upkeep means one turn where they're not dropping Yennefer off,
Mm-hmm.
which could be huge. But removing it could be very well be the difference between winning and losing.
Well, we'll see a second were-rat go down in response to the rats here, which is fair. I mean, nothing, these rats, as they are, currently have no way of removing the were-rats, so they might just sit back and do a bit of cleanup while Jump works with this crew here. Alan going to go ahead, prompt the, okay, Dragon Knight, maybe going ahead and looking for Koru, and flies right over it. Faithful Drake not landing on the Koru, of course, since flying just goes, yoop, right over. Follows up with the Southport Captain here. And I think what Allen's doing is, a fairly aggressive move. He's going to try and maybe sneak in these rats for castle damage, avoiding the were-rats as much as possible in here, and just sort of hitting the castle hard. Oh, there's just a Mystic Journey, I
Ooh,
assume. So there goes one of those were-rats.
yeah, good call dropping the Rat King. Ooh, that's too bad. If that were rat didn't go down, Jump would have had lethal this turn.
Oh, right. Yeah. All right, but I mean, still, we can work our way around this. I think Jump's biggest card in hand currently is that Archdruid. We'll see him do a little bit of work, kind of cleaning up the board here. Not playing it on the castle spawns, I hope, because that would lose us a spirit.
Yeah.
That would lose us a Trent. That would be very big. And yeah, I think we might see him go a little bit more aggressive here to kind of clean up as much as he can. I mean, as much as it hurts to miss out on the 5 damage on Castle, I think there's just too much on the board to ignore.
Yeah, and if you use the trance right, you don't even have to spend. Oh no, not
There's
the
a
time
timer.
trouble.
Oh no, the timer.
Jump! No, you have 10 seconds. Jump!
He doesn't have enough time to make this connection. It's too much happening on the board.
Oh no,
The
he's gonna
dreaded
take
enemy of
7.
all C&C players. Actually, let's
He's
see.
taking 6.
No, he takes
He's
7
taking
if
6.
the captain is moved. Oh
No, he's
no,
taking
that's
9.
that's lethal. That's lethal.
No. the time
Uh,
trouble.
Unfortunate. Looks like the timer got the best of Jump here in game number one here. Looks like he had a fairly decent shot of bouncing back. However, the Mystic Journey combo a little bit too strong, a little bit of problematic for Jump, I would say. I mean, what would you say was like his biggest? I mean, I think personally, all those units swarming down on Jump, not really allowing himself to breathe there.
Yeah, you have to wonder if Jump had placed the Beastmaster one tile back, he would have had those beasts for one turn. How much of a difference that could have made.
Right. But with that being said, here we do have two players to get to, so want to head back and see what they're both thinking after game number one.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and jump right to them. All right, folks, and welcome back. Game number one has concluded here, and Alan picking up the victory here in that game number one. Now, Alan, how are you feeling going up against the Ninja Druid here? What were your thoughts going into and just in the matchup overall?
Well, most Ninja Druid decks, they focus a lot on Kuru and First Strike, and First Strike is really annoying against a bunch of rats because it can just take out the rats because they have no health and they won't do any damage back to it. And I figured my goal would just be instantly take out the Kuru. I made a big mistake that could have cost me the game where the way I moved the Faithful, it just flew over the Kuru. I figured it was there, but I kind of just messed it up. And if he had two Shadow Katanas, he could have just killed me right there, and I'm glad he didn't. But that's basically it.
Right, right. I mean, certainly it looks like you had a pretty tight control, especially in the later stages of the match here. You just popped the Mystic Journeys here. You not only did that on the Rat King, but also the Dragon Knight to pull out a Faithful Jade to remove the Were Rat. Talk to us about that sort of play here. Did you just take it to kind of deal with the Were Rat here? You knew that your smaller rats may not have been able to survive against them, so did you just go for it to kind of just maybe push your aggression just a little bit deeper?
If he didn't kill my Rat King, I was probably gonna Mystic the Rat King, but he ended up killing that. So I figured Dragon Knight used the Mystic Journey on that. I can take out a Were Rat, and he'll only have one, so he can effectively only take out the rats for free at half the speed he would have. And that ended up helping because I was able to kill him on the next turn.
Right, right. Seems fair. Astra, anything for Alan before we jump over to Jump?
No, not particularly. He played the deck the way it's supposed to be played. The cards.
Fair enough.
Game.
But going over to the other side here, Jump, while we're getting things a bit set up here and fixed, we know, or at least I know, you might have a bit of a rant for us for Mystic Rats here. So go ahead. How are you feeling in that matchup here? What were your thoughts? Go on, buddy.
Great, thanks. Thanks for the soapbox. No, no, it's just such a powerful combo, and it's very well known how powerful it is, and it just shows time and again in these casting conflicts how dominant of a strategy it can be. And yeah, it got another win. So it can be frustrating to play against, but you gotta use the resources you've got, and here in the win. So there's only so much I can complain.
I mean, we thought you might have had a way to bounce back once we saw Liana hit your hand here, but it seemed like your biggest issue in that match wasn't necessarily the cards in your hand, but the good old friend, the timer. Were you just sort of at that stage just trying to figure out what the proper way to take out the rats were? We noticed that the timer was a bit of a slightly
Yeah.
recurring issue. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
I'm never always the fastest player, but I try and think through all the possibilities that I've got to play. It's really, I don't know, there are so many possibilities on the board that there are some turns that are quite obvious as to what the best move is, but later in the game when you've got 5 units to move and they can all attack different units and in different orders, I try and think through my whole turn before I execute the first move, and sometimes that takes quite a bit longer than just moving right away, and
Right.
it can hurt if you take a bit too long.
As we kind of saw in the later stages of the matchup here. We thought you were going to maybe clear out a bit of rats here, but unfortunately you were, I think, at that point in a panic to just kind of kill off as much as you could. So a bit unfortunate there, but I mean it happens, especially, like you said, if you're going ahead and taking the time to kind of think about all the possibilities here. You end up with situations like that more often maybe than not. So yeah, I can totally see that. But Asteroid, do you have anything for Jump before we move into game number 2, though?
Yeah, I was wondering, Jump, when you thought the deck lost its stride, because it looked like you had good control over the match, and you were really hitting the right cards, and you had the tempo.
Right.
So I was
Yeah,
wondering where.
I started the game quite strong. I decided to keep my entire opening hand. Since Lumberjack you definitely want to keep. I kept Centaur because it was up against a um, Pirates matchup, and I had a strong feeling that he would be playing the Rat Hovel, and so that was a good one to keep, obviously. And then a Beastmaster was also came in handy because I didn't have any 2-cost unit or 3-cost unit at that time, and the Beastmaster is a great defensive card. If he was able to take an early advantage, I would hopefully be able to turn that around with the Beastmaster. So in the end, it paid off. I was able to kind of play out that sequence, but the turning point where I started to be back on the losing side was ultimately the Rat King Mystic Journey combo. Um, I was willing to sacrifice my Beastmaster to take out his Temple of the Five Gods, because it's such a huge advantage with a Rat King Mystic Journey combo. And it in the end it didn't quite matter. I still couldn't finish it off before the tempo was turned around. But yeah, it all came down to the wire, just that one faithful turn.
Right, certainly. So, with that being said, I think we have all that we need out of game number 1. So let's go ahead and jump into game number 2 then, and see what we can find in that next match. So let's go ahead and bring you right to it. Alright folks, and welcome back. Game number 2 underway here. Jump bringing the Warlock Crusader to take on Allen's Mystic Rats. Now, honestly, we've seen, I think, maybe this, and not maybe the combination exactly, but we've definitely seen Warlock bought in a couple times here as an answer to Allen's Mystic Rats here. Asteroid, do you think Jump will be more favored going into this match now that he's got the mass AoE to clear off things like Mystic Rats if it happens?
Yeah, and he can also deal with things like this rat hovel a lot easier and a lot more efficiently than he would with other decks.
Right, right. So we'll see if that's going to be the name of the game here. We'll see Allen go ahead and take up a blacksmith. So yeah, starting to get his buffs out again, similar to what we saw in game number 1 here. We'll see if he decides to go with maybe Dragon Knight here or Armory. Okay, that works too here. I mean, we still have the combo for turn 5, so yes, really getting a little scary here. We'll see if he decides to Blue Fire or Witch Ball. Would you take maybe the aggressive burn route here and burn off one of those 2 cards at this moment?
Yeah, I'd go ahead and blue firebolt that armor.
Or even maybe Witch Bolt, Tarius File. Which, okay, we saw Tarius File, but no Bolt. Do you think he wants maybe
Maybe
the
he's going to
Andrew?
look for Flamestorm.
Or, I mean, I see Andrew Arcanon in his hand right now, and that could be big as well. Oh,
Right.
especially more so that he's going to get the Sunflower into Lumberjack, and that's going to be a huge boost to Andrew.
Yeah, hitting this Andrew and then later hitting Craxus is probably going to be Jump's best route this game.
So we'll see the Sunflower go into Lumberjack. That means double the buffs for Andrew. He becomes a 6/9. Currently, maybe Allen not looking too worried, considering he's got double Armory plus Blacksmith. We'll see a Captain come out, and yeah, 5/5, already rivaling 6/5 even. Yikes. That is a big boy. I would imagine
Yeah,
something like a blue
these
fire
armories
has
are
to come out now.
these armories are gonna disappear.
Do you think he goes Priest Witch Bolt or just the Flying Books for draw here?
I think he witch bolts. I don't know if he uses priest. It's kind of iffy because of Taurus files, but depends on how you want to use the Taurus files.
Right. I mean, I would say maybe he
Keeping it,
can be lucky and keep the Tarius files for general, no?
yeah, but you also run the liability of when the rats have chain. It's just a little bit of extra damage they get on your face.
Certainly a true point there. Looks like Onslaught hits the board here, neutralizing the Andrew down a little bit here and make that
Ooh,
2 Onslaughts. Okay. Uh, I mean, that's fair. In theory, Jump can bring up the Andrew just enough to survive eventually, but still, that's going to be a bit problematic for him.
yeah, we still have the Craxus to get on the board.
Certainly, and I think Kraxus will be a bit bigger here of a play. I mean, especially once maybe the rats hit the board. I would like to see a blacksmith disappear before then, so Kraxus can maybe keep his armor for at least one of the rat hits. But we'll see. We'll see if maybe Jump can't get a little bit of burn off of the Arcanon Tarius draw. I'd like to see maybe a Dragon's Fire or Flamestorm just kept in the back pocket personally to handle Mystic Rats here, but. Yeah, I'm kind of worried for him at this point. I mean, he's running on, few resources as compared to Allen here. Do you think Allen holds an advantage now going into later game?
Maybe a little. Jump's resources are on the board. That's why Ellen has a few more in hand. I don't particularly like rushing here because Alan has Mordok.
Or Lightning
That's
Blade?
just ooh.
Lightning Blade's going to be big. I mean, he gets the Tarius draws, which, yields a
Oh,
Dragon's Fire. And that's pretty big. Might have just frozen quickly. Yep, we have. That's no big deal. Going to come back here. Looks
and
like
Alan.
Andrew's going to be big healed. And there's value for Dragon's Fire. And there it is. Hits the Dragon's Fire. I think moving the Andrew, pushing the books here, and I think we're in a good place for Jump in these closing moments here.
Yeah, Mordok only does 7 damage, so the Andrew would survive.
Ooh,
There's the
Yenaroth.
freeze.
I mean, we can't trade into the Andrew yet because, of course, that would take out Yenaroth. So I think we get Kraxus on board now, right? Oh, seeing Jump's hand now. Looks like he drew General Arbiter. I think Kraxus is still the play to go here.
Yeah.
I don't think we set up for chain, though. Do we? I'm kind of thinking about it now, because, I mean, Yenaroth goes into the Kraxus and actually negates Jump's draw off of it, so I'm not sure being aggressive was the best play with it. I mean, maybe we're thinking that Allen's going to focus more on the Andrew, but still, a little concerned about that Kraxus placement.
I don't think Jump has a whole lot else to do there. He really just needs to make the plays with his big units. And so having multiple threats developed is definitely better. It's more for Alan to deal with.
Certainly. Uh-oh, and there is Temple down. We still have enough gold for the big Mystic play. We'll see if Allen's got it in hand.
The Dragon's Fire has been used.
Has been used. You are certainly correct on that front.
Rat King is not going in.
No. So looks like no.
Weird.
Oh, we have.
That's big.
See, the problem with fear though is that you fear back Rat King. So do you want to push the Rat King back for 10 damage on face, or do you kind of focus on maybe more defense? What would you go for into fear in this scenario?
What Jump's hovering on right now, just fearing, or not what he's hovering on, fearing the Rat King. So it's further away from using a Mystic.
Alright, so there is 10 damage to hit face now. We'll probably see books go into the Yenaroth here. Yep, making that connection. Kraxus might be the card to come out here to sort of block. Don't have enough for Priest, my friend, since you used the fear. So does risk keeping the Rat King alive for a Mystic Journey here. How are you feeling on that?
It's a little too far back to be effective, so I think it's fine for now. It might become a problem within the next few turns.
I think Jump might be looking to close out the game soon, though, when you look at Arbiter and in hand. Ooh. Ooh, Lightning Blade completely negating the Craxus. I mean, not completely, as I see the cards come into the hand. Sometimes I just don't see and register those things. Although third Lightning Blade gonna use the or hit Rat for or no, hit Castle on Rat for some big damage. That's the right English. But yeah, I don't like Allen's chances moving into the matchup. I don't know how much he's got left in the tank.
Especially since he just sacked Rat King. He's throwing away a big out for him. So maybe he has the Yenneroth that he's looking to play.
I would probably in this case bring out General, right? General can
Yeah,
go
I
into the
think something
Rat.
like, General, Rider, Priest.
Maybe, yeah. No? I don't think we should be aggressive with it. Unless you maybe just going to go Priest into the Rat and Rider to block, maybe. Being more aggressive with the General.
Maybe.
I think you're going to be more
And
aggressive
then,
just because he has Arbiter in hand. I think that's going to be a big saving grace for him.
right.
But we'll see if that ends up being the case here. We're going to bring out the Rider, I assume, just to get some kind of last will value off of Arcanon's combo here.
And the Rider's value here is actually pretty big.
Certainly. Having the 2 damage land on face or temple could be pretty scary for Allen moving into later stages. If he gets enough Rider damage onto Castle, he can end the game right here with Arbiter. And Rattler can take the retreat there. In with the big boy. Okay. Seems fair here, throwing it back to Jump. Not really drawing what he wants to see. Do you think he goes just Andrew, maybe Darkbender up top?
It's another hard turn. If
Right.
Allen has the hard removal, he's getting 7 damage on face, which means you're going to have to use Arbiter's Return next.
Certainly. But, do we also throw maybe the Sunflower to, create that small chain just to avoid a loss from hard removal?
Yeah, I think that would have been the play. Jump not taking the Sunflower block, though.
No, instead going to set up with a Darkbender, and yeah, hard removal does hit the board, so he's going to be forced to use the Arbiter in this next turn here. Hold on, maybe to clear off the Elvish Thief even. I think currently Jump has enough on the board to take out this Yenneroth. But I do think he desperately needs the Arbiter. Whether he hits the Elvish Thief or face, though, is a very different story.
You have to hit the Elvish Thief because Andrew and Salahar can't remove the Yenneroth.
Right. So we're seeing Jump really think about it here. He may be considering Dragon's Fire, but no, Arbiter has to be the play here. And very curious how he goes for the Yenneroth with the Arbiter rather than, the combination of Ryder and Andrew and whatnot. I would think maybe he would be more inclined to push against the Elvish Thief, but instead going to keep it alive here.
Ooh, don't rush.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to see a rush either, considering
No.
Mordock is potential, or we could see Mordock potentially. English is not doing good tonight. I'll tell you that much. But throwing it back to Allen here again, a little bit of stream delay. We apologize, but hopefully it's not affecting the viewing experience too much. Looks like Execution for a second time connects to the Andrew. A little bit of chain value for that Elvish Thief there. But the game is still fairly even. Jump in the slight health advantage. Dragon Knight Lumberjack going to come ahead and come out now. Doing a little bit of castle damage. That's kind of what he needs. And now I would
Jump
imagine...
really needs that power.
I would really imagine. Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Arbiter top deck. Arbiter top deck going to be the end for game number 2. I was thinking maybe he'd use Dragon's Fire, but hey, we all like to see an Arbiter top deck at the right moments, don't we?
Yeah.
So certainly a big turnaround for Jump in that matchup here, and I think maybe the first time in quite some time actually that we've seen Allen take a game loss here. I think the recent sets he's been pretty effectively cleaning things up here, but still very interesting to see Arbiter come in for the win here. Do you have anything before we move into the players? I think we should certainly get to them, but any thoughts on that match?
That match was pretty intense. Jump was holding back what could have been really bad. Allen didn't get the Mystic Rats, but Jump, he was ready.
Certainly, certainly. So, with that being said, let's go ahead jump into the players and see how they're feeling after game number 2. All right, folks, in game number 2, coming to a conclusion here, and Jump picking up the victory via the sneaky little Arbiter return off the top here. Tell me, how are you feeling throughout that matchup holding the Warlock Crusader, I assume to be Last Will, against Mystic Rats here? Just tell us your thought processes throughout
Yeah.
the matchup.
He's got a swarm-based deck, which means global buffs galore, unit spawners. It's basically buildings that I need to destroy. And so the way to counter that is burn. And my last will deck runs a lot of that. So that's the basics of it. I mean, there are other variations I could have taken. I could have run an awakened deck with lots of burn. I could have run some other faction combination, but really it was the warlocks that I chose to be the counter, and it seems to have worked pretty well.
Certainly the case. I mean, we kind of saw Dragon's Fire hit the board at one point. That was big. Being able to take out those buffs that Allen utilizes so well, like Temple, Armory, Blacksmith. I think at one point the game saw, double Blacksmith, double Armory, and we still
I
kind
think it
of...
was just one blacksmith, yeah.
Regardless, I mean, we still pulled out pretty well there. I think I don't have to. I feel like I had a question. This is like the worst thing that you can do when you have a question but you just don't remember exactly. And so I'm
But
gonna.
saying that you have it
Uh,
and then not having it.
wow.
No.
All right. Thank you. Yes. While I look for my question, Astra, do you have anything for Jump?
Yeah. The big spot in that game was definitely pulling that Dragon's Fire in the middle game,
That was big.
getting rid of those blacksmiths. And after that, you had all these big units. Were the big units maybe another reason you brought this deck in against Mystic Rats, or?
No, quite the opposite actually. It's usually swarm beats big units because what they do is the swarm deck will just run forward and not attack, and the big units won't have enough units to deal with. Like, they can only attack one of the small rats per turn, and they just get overwhelmed. But about the Dragon's Fire pull, I run 3 of them in this deck, and I was assuming I was going to draw one of them, which is why you saw me use my direct burn cards on the armories rather than on the blacksmiths.
Right.
Even though the armories can't move, they don't have attack power. Just getting rid of that extra health, assuming that'll draw Dragon's Fire at some point, which can take care of both of the blacksmiths at the same time. So it's, even if you don't have it in hand at the moment, you can still plan ahead for it and kind of anticipate what you will draw in the future.
Right. Well, certainly strong there. I actually do remember my question, by the way. So let's get that in there. At what
Good,
point?
let's hear it.
At what point, I think, in that game, were you more leaning on the side that you like have totally got this one? You're walking away with the win here. Did at any point you feel that, or
Right.
was the whole game just not sure if we're gonna pull out, probably gonna need to pull out X, Y, or Z to kind of make things work here, or like I said, did you just find a point in the match where you were taking away the W?
So from the very beginning, I was at an advantage because I had the chance to counter. I know what deck he's playing, and I get to choose how I want to play against that. Is in a game like this is a massive advantage if you know how to um, take control of that and know what the matchups are for each deck. So um, I really favored myself right from the beginning, but it was, I'd say, once it started hitting the sudden death round, and I still had arbiters in hand. I thought, yeah, this is the point at which he's got 10 health. I had around 10 because this was before the Yenaroth, I think, and I have healing whereas he doesn't, and it was kind of that's the point where I kind of thought, yeah, I think I've got this one. But the Yenroth play there, it was close to bringing it back. I was just having to play it as safe as possible at that point.
Right, right. But I mean, going on to the other side then of the fence, Alan, already, I mean, at a disadvantage going into the matchup. I mean, talk to us how you were feeling through the game, though.
So I figured I'd just play my buildings to start off because I knew he was gonna burn them off anyways. There's no point in saving it or anything like that. And I drew like all my global buffs and all my buildings pretty much to start off. I drew double temple, blacksmith, all that stuff. And so I figured I'd just hope he couldn't burn that off. He didn't burn off two of the armories for a little bit, and I think I got some better trades because of him, but then he eventually got him burned. And then I believe he threw out a respect before he dragons fired my elvish double blacksmith. And when I saw the respect, I knew I was done. And so then I was trying to I knew I was gonna be on a timer the second I had another Yenaroth in hand when the Andrew the Giant hit me for 10, and I could have played the Yenaroth, but I opted to go for the Mercenary Rat King play, and I feel like I could have played that a lot better. Or no, Mercenary Rat King, Temple Rat King. I feel like I could have played that if I'd played the Yenaroth. I could have won that. I didn't realize I wouldn't be able to kill off the Andrew with just Rat King, and then he had the fear, so the body block didn't matter.
Right, right. Um, yeah, I don't have much for Alan on this one. Asteroid, do you have anything for Alan before we jump into game two? Or
Game
game
three.
three, I mean? Yeah, game three, I can do math.
Not a lot on this one, no. It was pretty much all on the board. No.
Yeah, I think an uphill battle the entire way through, I think, for Alan.
Yeah. Well,
Which is,
now
which
it's an
is,
uphill battle for me
right,
because
right, true.
I've got to play a deck, and Alan's got a chance to counter. So I'm curious to see what he's going to come up with.
Right, so with that being said, folks, let's jump into game number three and find out who will take the series. Alright, folks, and game number three underway here. Bringing back the Ninja Druid up against, well, I think Alan's going to run the same thing back if he knows it works. So we're going to see the Mystic Rats for a third time today in this video here. And, Ashtray, how are you feeling about Jump's chances here? Do you think he maybe understands the situation of the matchup a bit better to bring out a victory for him in game three? Or does Alan just have the complete hard counter here and that's kind of all she wrote? What are your thoughts on that?
Jump's deck has ways to win this matchup. And so it'll be very interesting to see him play for them.
Right. I mean, we know he's got the core Rampage, which might be a big factor for him. We're seeing things like Shadow Katana, so maybe he's going to get in maybe for a multi-strike if he's got in deck for that. I'll be curious to see certainly how he intends to deliver the final blow here. But I mean, Allen, you're going to see him doing the same plays that he always does here. Elvish Thief, Rat Hovel, nothing unusual from his end. And I
The
think
wizard versus hovel interaction is always an interesting.
certainly always, a question of how to protect the hovel, or do you just kind of sacrifice it and accept the loss? Let's see if maybe he goes
And
for
some people will just repeatedly sack their rats to the wizard, and so the two cards will just cancel each other out.
that too. We do see Armory in Jump's hand as a potential play here. Do you think he's going to go with that or Manicore to rush in the wizard here, be aggressive with it while he has the opportunity?
That would be a very interesting play. I don't think it would work, though.
I would sack the Lumberjack before we make that Manicore play, honestly. We want to maybe get the draw here or at least eliminate the bodies that Allen could use.
Yeah, you definitely want the draw.
Well, looks like we're not going to see it. Jump going to go ahead and be aggressive with the Manicore, thereby really nullifying the Lumberjack draw, at least for now. I'll be curious to see if maybe he tries to retreat it as a way to just kind of force the attacks onto the Wizard, or maybe he moves it up. Not exactly sure what direction he'll take here.
It's hard to say. And thinking about it a bit more, this wizard probably won't go down unless Alan has a larger unit, which I haven't seen from his deck.
Right. I mean, I think his whole deck builds upon the Mystic Rat plays being the big ender. That I don't think he's got a lot of big bodies here. And yeah, we're actually going to see the Manicore make a complete trade with both Shaman and Southport. So we do actually keep that Wizard here. We move into second Lumberjack, but that's no big deal. I think Jump has ways to kind of out it here. And we're going to see the Wizard take a fall back here. Maybe snipe off the Southport Captain.
Yeah, then you can get the Koru on the shaman. Your wizard is safe.
Maybe even attempt to do a Lumberjack trade up top before you do that to maybe get another pull. See what kind of options the deck gives you. Or, nope, okay, gonna go for the Koru. Koru is fine. Be surprised if he doesn't take out a Lumberjack, though. Or, nope, doesn't. I guess doesn't want to give Allen any sort of resource advantage, I imagine.
Yeah, and the rat was in range of attacking the wizard.
Oh, right. So kind of preventing a Lightning Blade from being a killer on the Wizard.
Yeah, the wizard's huge value here.
And so Allen actually taking a defensive approach here, going to fall back with those Lumberjacks as well as the Southport in the top corner here. Not something that we see Allen's deck do often, but this is going to give Jump a bit of leeway, I think, to kind of build himself up here. I mean, a second Katana in hand could be devastating, as we're probably going to see, what, an Armory setup, maybe followed by a Masuda? Or Masuda Armory, whichever direction he takes with it.
Alan's on his back foot now, and the damage potential Jump has is nutty.
So we'll probably see, I think, Masuda Armory. I guess right now it's a matter of where he put the Armory down. I think probably going to put it in the back corner. Yep, to avoid any potential Mystic Rat shenanigans. Because you never know. If Rat King Mystic Journey is a two-card combo. And, as long as Alan's got more than 2 cards, the combo is very real.
Yeah, unblocked, that was lethal, so Mercenary's Execution is a must there.
Right. We get rid of the biggest threat that is the Wizard. We might even let Koru smack face, which, I mean, knowing what's in Jump's hand, that's maybe not the best idea for Allen. But I think in his mind, he wants to force Koru to remain unstealth, so he's willing to take whatever damage Jump throws at him now. And looking at the
This is
hand,
gonna hurt.
8+, I'm doing quick math, but I don't think this is lethal.
It's not lethal.
No, definitely
It is
not.
a lot of damage, though.
Speaking of a lot of damage, 15 smacks the board right there. I think what we're going to do is
Yeah,
place...
with that wizard around.
I think if he kept the Wizard, yeah, that would have been lethal. So, yeah, Allen keeps himself in the matchup for a bit longer, and I think we might actually position the Masu to end the game for us. I'm curious to see if Allen takes this direction to kind of okay. So it looks like both lumberjacks going to clear with the help of blacksmith. Meanwhile, kind of
He's
giving
got
Corey
a
resources.
yeah, and then he just has to play one unit to be able to block. And Jump's probably looking for a companion. Companion ends the game. Oh, well, that's really scary.
Yikes! Triple blacksmith make their appearance here. I'll be curious to see if Jump decides to go for a bard trade on the Southport to kind of just get rid of a blacksmith, because even keeping all three alive just seems problematic, especially with Mystic Rat being the combo this deck, desires to pull off.
Yeah,
I mean,
Jump really needs the right cards now.
right. I think Jump has to, take the sacrifice. Definitely hold the katana to kind of be a little scary with it. But yeah, I mean, take the trades, put another fat bard on board, and just hope that Allen hasn't drawn that destructive combo.
It could also just be a question of how much worse is three blacksmiths compared to two. Like maybe keeping Fat Bard worth.
No, it looks like that's going to be the answer here as Masuda goes into the Southport captain. Meanwhile, both bards being kept alive. Lightning Blade going to hit the board, though. That will eliminate one of those bards, putting the other one severely weakened. But also putting Allen at a disadvantage hand-wise. He's moving all three blacksmiths aggressively here, and that
Ooh.
swordsman's going to be big. It's going to take out two of the blacksmiths, leaving Jump to clear out the third if he chooses. And I mean, I think he might have to. I mean, Swordsman survives either way, as long as the armory isn't removed, which I don't think it can be in this scenario.
Jump needs a unit to play companions off of if
Oh,
he
that's
does
certainly
draw one.
correct. Yeah. Okay, so keeping Bard is probably more important here. And yeah, we're going to see him move it up. Forgot that we're also running Druids for a second there. So yeah, Companion's still a very solid way to end the game. And especially since we have Katana in hand, even if we lose the Armory, we'll still have more than enough to kind of clear the game. So Dragon Knight Temple for Allen, going to go ahead and smack away the Swordsman. We'll probably see Beastmaster come out as the response from Jump's side. Again, it just seems like the right play to make. Nothing that he can really do. High
Ooh,
rolls into two bears.
yeah.
That's what you love to see. If you jump, you're absolutely loving that. He does leave Faithful Drake the option to smack face. So
I don't think that's a big deal though. I
no,
think rushing this bear is going to be huge, like all the way.
right. We're seeing him debating to put it behind, and looks like he actually does go for that play. A little worrying, considering that you have that Mystic Rat potential to kind of come in and do some work to kind of clear off the bears and do a bit more chain damage than I think Jump would like. But we'll see. The dreaded timer coming back for Jump. He's going to debate on where he puts this Fat Bard. Fat Bard goes behind Armory, Beastmaster down below here, separating things because of that temple. And I think, oh no,
Hate to see it.
execution comes down. Not what you want to
Second,
see.
second Beastmaster.
Second Koru. And that's not what
Ooh,
Jump wants to see because that actually no, Fat Bard actually makes the trade doable. Forgot.
yep.
For a second there, I'm like, no, he's gonna die anyway. But no, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. He does keep that Koru alive.
The
Which
question is, where do you put it?
that is a good question. Where do you put it? I definitely don't think in front of the Blacksmith because Blacksmith is going to get aggressive and go for face damage here. I think Allen wants to kind of bring the game closer to an even playing field in terms of health. So definitely not in front if you're looking for Koru to end the game for you. If he goes up there, which he's kind of pointing at right now, he's going to need something like a Swiftness to come in and give him that extra movement to lunge out.
You'll be able to remove the temple from there.
Okay, looks to be slightly below Blacksmith, so looking to kind of end the game from two fronts here. So we'll see if maybe Allen can clear it off. Rat King will be able to kind of just make a big push and sweep for uh, Koru. Obviously, right now with the temple in the place that it is, it's still going to be three rats regardless, or three extra rats regardless of where Rat King goes.
Yep, there it is.
Yep, the big boy hits the field. So Yenaroth going to make his appearance now, going to be able to take out the Koru. Jump's still not able to find a companion, unfortunately.
And he's going to lose this Fat Bard, which would give him the Were-Rat Shadow Katana trade for Yenneroth.
Certainly, which is disappointing to see, but at least Yenneroth's not hitting face, you know? That's
Yeah.
certainly not what you want to see. I think playing the Were-Rat, though, is still beneficial to Jump, especially if something like a Mad King Mystic does come out. He'll have the body to clear it off and avoid the chain. Even if he loses the Fat Bard, I think he'll still be able to make use of the Were-Rat. I wouldn't advance it all the way.
Wait,
Go for it.
this could be really smart.
What,
Maybe.
throwing the Were-Rat as a distraction to divert
With
from
Shadow
Yenneroth?
Katana.
Ooh.
Because if Allen removes the Fat Bard, he still has to deal with the big rat.
Right, his Blacksmith is actually frozen, so that has no way of getting to the Fat Bard. Onslaught on the Were-Rat? And there's the Rat King. There's the Mystic Journey. Yeah, and that's not going to be good. I think this actually might turn things around in the worst way for Jump.
Yeah, Allen
Why did
finally
we wait?
hit
We're not
whichever piece he was waiting on.
Oh, because he has bleed. I forgot. Yeah, Were-Rat has bleed, so we're gonna lose that unit anyway. We have double draw here. Rampage, rampage. No.
The rampages you wanted to see when you had Swordsman.
Unfortunate here. So Jump off of a double bestial rage draw, gonna surrender game number 3. So Allen does take another series win for himself here. And overall, that was a pretty strong showing for both players. I think Jump was very close to kind of turning things around here. Especially when we saw the swordsman come out, remove some blacksmiths. But I don't think his trades are very desirable as we got into the later stages of the matchup with things like the double bestial rage, Shadow Katana, the Were-Rat, things that would have been fine earlier, but not in that exact moment.
Yeah. Jump just didn't,
No, go ahead.
finish the game.
Yeah, wasn't able to kind of deliver the final closing bits of damage. Yeah, so we'll see how he feels though, as we still have both players to get to see how they feel after game 3. So let's go ahead and jump right to them to see how they're doing. And we're back, folks, after game number 3 here. Jump, unfortunately, not taking the series, falling just short to Allen. Allen, how are you feeling going into match number 3? You chose, I believe, the same color combination. You chose the same deck, pretty much. Talk us to
If
why
it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, figured that was the answer you were gonna go for here. Yeah, I guess I don't know what I was expecting. So just talk us through the matchup here. How are you feeling throughout it? I mean, were you just very confident? We saw at one point you got pretty desperate throwing the 3 blacksmiths, and one swordsman kind of took out your 2 of those 3. We thought you were going to be in a not so desirable position here. Just talk us through how are you feeling seeing some of the plays that actually happened in that game.
So the swordsman I was not preparing for, and I probably should have been, but my logic there was he can get stuff like Were-Rat, stuff like Kuru with buffs can be really annoying to deal with, since he doesn't have to get the initial lunging attack on it. And so I had so much units out. As long as I kept at least 1 blacksmith and 1 temple, that's all Rat King needs to be game ending and an automatic win for me. So I had the Mystic Journey in hand, so after he double Shadow Katana Kuru'd my castle, and I knew he could have killed me the turn before, I think, with a Shadow Katana multi-strike, and I knew he didn't have that, so I thought I was safe. I was expecting 1 Shadow Katana hit, And then when I saw the second one, I knew I'd have a lot of pressure to end this soon. And so it kind of came down to will he draw a centaur or anything to end the game first, or will I draw the Rat King? And I ended up drawing the Rat King before he could draw the centaur.
Right, and I definitely think that was a powerful way to kind of close the matchup. We thought maybe the Were-Rat would have snuck in somehow, but I mean, like you said, you just picked up the combo first, and you kind of went from there. We saw how that ended up here. But I mean, on the other side of things, Jump, you seem to have pretty better, or a bit better control of the matchup than you did in Game One. Just talk us through quickly how you were feeling in that matchup. I mean, like we said,
Yeah.
it seemed like you had a lot of advantage, but once Rat King Mystic hit the field, it kind of just fell apart there. And just talk us through it.
Well, that was the exact thought behind the initial Kuru with the double Shadow Katana hitting his castle for 15. Is like, if I can draw a centaur at any point in this game, I win. And you know how that goes. Yeah, no, but it wasn't just centaur. It was like I could draw a centaur or another wizard, or I could draw a bestial rage. Probably would have done it. Like, so many.
Do you run Spiny?
I not in this deck, no.
Okay, because a Spiny would have probably won, because then I couldn't have gone to sudden death at all.
Yeah, no, but like I had so many options, and the heart of the cards was not on my side, and I thought I had control of the board for 98% of that game, and
At the very end, it just slipped right out.
yeah,
And then, and
just
again,
couldn't
yeah,
couldn't quite finish it.
the draws I think me and Asher were talking about it just weren't favorable once we got towards like the later stages where you needed something like a centaur or wizard to close it out.
Right.
It just didn't show
Uh,
up.
And on the other side, it seemed like any time I had a Beastmaster or something like that, which is like, okay, so pretty close. And then he had the perfect answer with a
Execution.
Mercenary's Execution, and then a Rat King Mystic Journey again on the second one to kill off my with the bleed to kill off my
We're at.
where at, yeah. It's just really really kind of a frustrating game, getting so close yet not quite being able to finish it.
Certainly. Asteroid, that's going to be all for me. Do you have anything before we wrap up this video?
Yeah, Alan, when you mercenaries execution to the wizard, was that over like just control of the board because wizard is scary? Or did you know that maybe there was some lethal potential if it stuck around?
So it was partially board control, and it was also because I kind of misplayed my opening. I had 2 lumberjacks, but I opted to go for the metal elvish rat infested. And so then I just 2 lumberjacks and then a hand where it would have been dead drawing for 10 minutes. And so I needed to somehow get rid of the lumberjacks, and I wanted to get some value out of them. And if the wizard was on the board, I could not get any trade with the lumberjack. So I figured if I opted to kill the wizard, then I could get maybe if I was lucky, get a trade with the Kuru.
All right. Seems fair.
And Jump, losing that wizard was pretty big, you know, seeing the game-ending potential it had at the time, and
Right.
like just trying to scramble back from that the whole game and having, you know, some of the right cards at the right time, but never hitting like just the right thing. Do you think there's anything you could have done that game that would have changed the outcome, or do you think it was pretty much written on the wall?
Yeah, I thought I played that game quite well. I think there was one point when I had my wizard still. I should have played him one square different than where I did, and that would have been a better position. But ultimately, he used Mercenary's Execution the very next turn. So, assuming he was playing the same, it wouldn't have mattered. But you know, you can't expect to um, win all your games just by playing well. Like that's a big part of the game is the matchups and feeling that out. So
Right.
it
Right.
came down to a loss, and now that's the end of it.
All
Don't
right.
think I could have done too much differently.
Right. So, with that being said, I think overall, like everyone said here, I think we had a great series in this showing. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and throw it out to my future self to close out this video. Alright, folks, with that being said, I hope you did enjoy this edition of Casting Conflicts. Let us know what you thought of the matches, leaving your thoughts down in the comment section below. And, of course, while you're down there, if you haven't done so already, be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. Share with friends, of course, subscribe if you are new or haven't done so already. It is the best way that you can support us here on the channel. And, yeah, that's going to do it for me for now. So, until next time, guys, stay gaming.